Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're going to be working specifically today on Family 4, solving multi-step inequalities. We're done with Family 3. We did that in our prior video. What we're looking to be doing here is, now that we're comfortable with how to manipulate an inequality and how just rock star similar it is to solving a regular equation, we want to start to step up our game a little bit. When they say multiple occurrences of the variable, what that means is that your variable actually pops up more than once. So you can see here we have a 6y and we have a 9y. So we now have to make a decision. How are we going to get them on the same side? And in point of fact, there's a little cheat sheet that I can give you guys to help you go through this. First things first, if you happen to say distribution, you want to do that first. Now, this particular topic doesn't have distribution first. We're going to get to that in a second. Distribution first. Then 2, if you have any, you want to combine your like terms. Then 3, from there, you want to get the variable to one side. And then from there, you should be able to solve a 2-step. That's what's going to happen. Now for here, for this specific topic, because this is, if I can squeeze over, problem type 1, we're not going to be doing these first 2 steps. We're starting small. We're getting you used to getting the variable over to one side. So eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Do I want to move the 6 or do I want to move the 9? I'm going to choose the 6 for the very shallow reason is that it is a smaller number, which means my subtraction will go better. So -2 greater than 9 minus 6 is 3y minus 14. And look, exactly like we thought, once we move the variable to one side, we now have a 2-step and we're back on comfortable ground. Plus 14, plus 14, that's going to be 12 greater than 3y divided by 3 divided by 3. So y greater than 4. So 4 is greater than y, or if you're smarmy like me and you want that y on the left side, you can write it like this. For here, let's see here, plus 3x plus 3x, because again, I'm on this step every single time. Get the variable over to one side. So 49 is greater than 6x plus 7. Minus 7, minus 7, what does that leave us with? 42 greater than 6x. Divide by 6, divide by 6. X is less than 7. Or 7 is greater than x, either or. And we're starting to realize that this isn't so bad so far. One more, keep my little cheat sheet right there on the side. So eeny, meeny, miny, mo, which x do I want to move? I tend to like dealing with positive numbers. Actually, no, you know what? Let's move the 6x. So 6v, because I know there are some people who can't stand the variable being on the right-hand side. 6v. So 5 minus 2v less than 11, minus 5, minus 5, negative 2v less than 6, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, and that's when the bell should be going off because you are dividing by a negative number, which means your inequality flips. So v is greater than negative 3. There's our answer. All right, now for problem type 2 does use the distribution and the variable on 2 sides. So I'm going to take this and move it down with us as we start going along. So there we go. No. My computer's being mean to me. Hang on a second. All right, now that I've made the silly thing do what I want to, we have our first topic taken care of. That can now be checked off. Everything shifted, darn it. That can now be checked off. Now we want to talk about here. You see how these two topics are now, these 2 steps, excuse me, are going to start coming into play. So what is step 1? Distribution. So we're going to take our negative 3 and distribute it. So this side of the inequality does not change, all right? But this 3 times 2, that's negative 6. 3 times 5, that is 15x. So step 1 is done. Next, are there any like terms here that we need to worry about? Nope, so we're already done. Next, variable to one side. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. What do you want to move, the 15 or the 8? Let's move the 8. minus 8x. Negative 34 is less than or equal to negative 6x plus 6x, Ms. Dubois. What are you doing? You can tell it's stupid o'clock in the morning. All right, next up. So we've gotten the variable over to one side, and now we can start solving the two steps. So plus 6 plus 6. Those are opposite signs, so we're going to be subtracting, which is going to be 28, and then negatives is the dominant sign. Then we're going to divide by 7, and then we're going to divide by 7. So x greater than or less than or equal. Yeah, negative 4 is less than or equal to x. There we go. I can talk, Ms. Dubois. Well done. Next up, now we have a new set. So first thing we're going to do is going to be the distribution. And we can see that we have it in two places. So what are we left with? Negative 13 plus 15 minus 5w greater than negative 2w, w, Ms. Dubois, minus 16. Next, are there like terms? Why, yes, there are. So let's take care of those. 15 and 13, that's going to be 2 because they're opposite signs, which means we subtract 5w greater than negative 2w minus 16. All right, next up, variable to one side. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's move the 2w plus 2w. So 2 minus 3w greater than negative 16. And now we have our two-step. So minus 2 cancels. 3w is greater than negative 18. Divide by negative 3. Divide by negative 3, and suddenly a little bell is going off because we're dividing by a negative. So that means w is greater than, or nope, see, I wrote the bell and then I still didn't actually do it. I have to flip my inequality and then it becomes a 6. All right, one more time, erase these and then move it over. All right, so first things first, we got to go through our to-do list. What do we have? We have distribution first, so we're going to do that. So 17 is less than or equal to negative 10 plus 5y plus 4y. Done. Okay, next up, like terms. So 17 less than or equal to negative 10 plus 9y. So far, so good. Okay, next up, get the variable to one side. We didn't have to worry about that. So that one's already checked off by default. Awesome. So now we're going to add 10, 27 less than or equal to 9y, divide by 9, 3 less than or equal to y. So this actually isn't looking too bad now. We're getting comfortable with what we're doing. If you don't have this written down in your notes, I do actually recommend it. It's a handy little cheat sheet, especially for people who are strugglers, who never quite know what they're supposed to be doing first. But now let's tick the difficulty curve up a little bit. Because here's the thing. You now have multiple choice. It's not just x, some kind of inequality. You might have a no solution, or you might have all real numbers as a solution. And you've got to figure out what that actually means. So first things first, our little steps. So we're going to have distribute. Then we're going to have like terms. Then we're going to get the variable to one side, and then we should have our two-step. I'm going to put that there so I don't forget. So step 1, distribution. So what are we left with? 18 minus 3x plus 3x greater than or equal to 15. From here, let's see here, distribution is done. Let's talk like terms. So 3x and 3x, those are like terms, and they cancel out because 3 minus 3 is 0. So what are we left with? We're left with 18 and we're left with 15. And now you have to ask yourself, is 18 greater than or equal to 15? Yes, it is. Well, funny that. It's almost like they have a button for that. All right, next one. Step 1 is distribution. So that's going to be 15y plus 18 less than 15y plus 18. All right. Next up, like terms. Are there any like terms? Nope. Okay, next up, variable to one side. So minus 15y, minus 15y. Now, some people might have noticed, and I definitely noticed, the 15 and the 15 cancels. 18 less than 18. Well, gee, is 18 less than 18? No. And that's what they mean about no solution in all real numbers as an option, okay? So over here, new set of questions. Distribute, distribute. So we're left with negative 3y minus 12 plus 36 less than or equal to 21 minus 3y. Next step is like terms. We have the 12 and the 36. So negative 3y plus 24 less than or equal to 21 minus 3y. Next up, move the variable, so plus 3y, that cancels out, is 24 less than or equal to 21? Nah, so that's going to be no solution. Now, step 1, distribution again. So we are left with 20w plus 35 greater than 20w plus 35. Now my math brain has already knows at this stage what the answer is, but let's double check. Negative 20w minus 20w, 35 is greater than 35. Is 35 greater than 35? Nah. So for something that's supposed to be particularly hard, what we're doing is still exactly the same as we've been doing. And now that we're getting comfortable with this, I'm going to remind you, and I'm going to leave this on the screen for a second while I wax mathematic, is that we also have to keep in mind translating. So you need to have this little table in your notes, less than or equal to, and most especially, you need to know what at most and at least are, because they're backwards from what you think they are. And you want to make absolutely sure that this is in your notebook somewhere to reference for the next topic. Because the next topic we're going to be doing yet more translation, all right? So here we go. Multi-step inequality. Translate into an inequality. So there's no solving here. So we have 10, and then we have subtracted from, and then we have product, which is multiplication, and then we have 4 and a number is greater than 15. I personally kind of like taking these things and sort of writing them out so that I can sort of figure out what my major signs are. The only thing to keep in mind is this piece right here. It's subtracted from. From is your important word here. That means this is backwards. So you're going to have 4x minus 10. That's what this from does for us, and then is greater than 15. Next one, 10 times the sum. Here's another tricky one. So it's going to be, whenever you have times the sum times the difference, that means parentheses, and sum means addition. So it's 10 times the sum of a number and 27 is at most. At most is which one? Less than or equal to 22. Okay? Next up, one more. The sum of a number, so sum of a number times 6. So a number times 6 and 25. So that's my setup. So 6e plus 25 is at least 23. At least 23. So you've got to be careful of your wording. So not only do you have this table to worry about up here and making sure that you have it where you need to be, you've got to keep an eye of the phrase subtracted from and the phrase times the sum, or sometimes they'll try to trick you further and say the difference. So those are the key things that you want to keep in mind most. Difference. Those are the ones you want to keep most. So now, since we're up to multi-steps and then translating, let's do them both at once. And I already hear someone at their computer screen losing their darn mind, but I need to let you know this is a DSA topic. That's what we got to focus on, okay? So what are we looking for? We have routine number 1, and we have routine number 2. So she burns 41 calories walking, and then she runs at a rate of 5.3 per minute. Per, I've talked about this in other videos. Whenever you see per or for each, or you sometimes see for every. This is all your fancy words for multiplication. So that's how I know it's per calorie, it's multiplication. And then routine 2 is 25 while walking, and then she runs at a rate of 8.5 per minute. And now what's the last thing we need? Routine 1 to be at most. At most is less than or equal to. Hey, funny that. We know how to solve that. So, which x do we want to start with? Let's see here. I'm going to choose the 5.3 minus 5.3. So 41 less than or equal to 25 plus 3.2x minus 25 minus 25. And suddenly you realize as you're doing this, the only thing that might almost be hard for this is the translation, is to pull the equation out. All right? Now on the DSA, you are allowed a hint, and all I can do is tell you, what does this word mean? What does that word mean? So that's going to be 16 divided by 3.2, and then divide by 3.2. All right, I'm good, but I am not that good. Decimals are my weakness. Let's pull out a calculator. Boom, by magic. So we're doing 16 divided by 3.2. Nope, that did not work at all. Let's try that again. 16 divided by 3.2. What do we get? 5. So over here, 5 is less. X has to be, X has to be greater than or equal to 5. All right, let's set up a new one. One more, and then I'll let you loose in the wilds. So let's see here. There are 2 companies you can choose from. So we have Company A and Company B. It has an initial fee of $70, an additional fee of 60 cents for every, there's that phrase again, that means multiplication, for every mile driven. And then you have no initial fee, and then you have 80 cents for every mile driven. And then we have at least. At least is greater than or equal to. Okay, so far so good. Let's see here. Let's rewrite that so that's a little less messy. So 70 plus 0.60x greater than or equal to 0.80x. So minus 0.60 minus 0.60. 70 is greater than or equal to 0.20x. At least for decimals, this is an easy one to do. So when you divide by 0.20, divide by 0.20. I'm going to do this without a calculator, and I still do that wrong because I'm talking instead of thinking. So x is less than or equal to 350. Ta-da! So those are all the topics I had for today's video. Look at all of that math that we did. So how many topics did we end up doing? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 topics in this video for you guys to learn. As next topic, we're almost done with Goal 2, and we're starting to hit a lot of the DSA questions. So this was a DSA question. This is a DSA question. And I believe, I'd have to go back and check, this is a DSA question. So we're starting to get more comfortable with our work. Next video, we finish up, I think. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. See you in the next one.